What the fuck, California? I mean, I'm so glad I fucking left there, and there's several reasons why. Let me get started with this one. So recently, California decided to be a great idea. Like, hey, let's the state, the government, us, the big tops, all of us as a state, let's all say, hey, there's more than two genders, two sexes, however you want to fucking refer to it, right? Now, I have nothing wrong with transgender people, the transgender community, or any of that shit. Actually, I encourage people to be themselves, and I'm perfectly fine with it. But there are certain fine lines that when you cross them, it makes me rather irritated. And the number one thing I have to say is language. When it comes to language, it is the most... Language itself, language, definitions, all that shit, is the most dangerous thing humanity has. Like, every human on the face of the earth has this weapon known as language. Like, words can't hurt, right? They can't. Just saying something can't hurt, right? But it's the other side of it. It's hearing. Hearing can hurt, apparently, because people have fucking such fragile fucking feelings, right? Well, check this shit out. Because of language, and because of people's perception on how they take certain words and they have their own definitions for them, because God, this just irritates the shit out of me. Alright, so check this out. So I watched a YouTube video earlier today where I heard the news that California is saying, hey, you can put non-binary as a gender. Yay! And I just put in, like, what the fuck, California, right? And I got this alert saying, hey, someone replied, and actually the name of the YouTuber is Irrelevant Cunt, so I really gotta say, that is actually a really nice name for username for on YouTube. I think it's fucking fantastic. That's the praise I will give you. But then you say, there are two sexes, not two genders. Well, if you want to get, like, you know, if you want to talk about language and definition and fucking words, I use words and language as a way to communicate with another individual, right? We usually speak the same language, and we communicate and conversate, and we're able to progress and move forward with our day, therefore the rest of our fucking lives, right? But the problem with language that these fucking SJWs have is that they take certain words that had certain common meanings, and then they apply their own meanings, their own definitions to them. Because for some strange reason, all these SJWs look at words and misconstrue them, and they attach shit that does not fucking belong there, right? Even just ideas. If you have a certain idea, they then attach that word to that idea. And it usually goes because, you know, you don't agree with me, therefore, your narrative I am labeling as this, right? You don't agree with me and how I feel about gender. Okay, that makes you homophobic. You don't agree with how I feel about women's rights issues. All right, misogynistic pig. You don't care how, you don't, you know, agree with how I feel about race relations. Okay, you're a fucking Nazi. Words that have certain connotations and meanings in certain circumstances, but then they apply those same words to unrelated situations, to unrelated connotations. They just totally fuck up language, and this is what pisses me off. You want to talk about definition? You want to... Irrelevant cunt. You want to talk about definition? Let's talk about definition right now. Sex, right? Oh, what's the definition of fucking sex? Typed it in on Google. The very first thing that pops up. Sex. The definition of sex. Sexual activity, including specifically sexual intercourse. That is the very first definition. Oh, and then there's the next one. Either of the two main categories, male and female, in which humans and many other living things are divided on the basis of the reproductive functions. Okay, there we go. Let's talk about gender now, right? That fit your narrative for, you know, like, oh, there's two sexes, that's fine, because it's a science thing. It's talking about, you know, reproductive organs. Gender, pop it in on Google, and I'm not saying Google's the end-all be-all, but just for the sake of fucking argument, right? Gender, the state of being male or female, typically used with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. Traditional concepts of gender. And then it goes into all this stuff. There's only the one. That in of itself is all confusing and fun. The state of being male or female. Bam, there you go. That's gender as we've always known it. But then they have this little, you know, this additional portion put in at the end of it, typically used in reference to social and cultural differences rather than the biological ones. What the fuck? Are you... What happened to our language? What happened to our words? You know, there was a simpler time when one word meant one thing. Sometimes a word could mean several different things based upon the surrounding words and when you describe something. What kind of ice cream would you like? You are a very kind person. Context. Context fucking matters at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean shit. Context, intention, none of that means anything anymore. All that matters is perception. That's what's happening to language. Language is getting utterly destroyed by the SJW communities. Now, I'm a relatively conservative person. I would like to say I'm moderate-leaning conservative on a lot of things. But it's my rationality that kind of makes it seem really confusing, because people that have conservative views have them for very specific reasons. But my conservative views are for very different reasons, which I'll probably go into another time if anyone's fucking interested. Language is getting fucking utterly destroyed. You know, as if the English language isn't fucking torn apart enough already, the SJW community is doing everything that it fucking can to make language fit their narrative. And if it doesn't fit their narrative, then negative words within our language are then applied to people outside of whatever story they're trying to fucking project onto the rest of the world. Like I said, it all comes back down to perception. Perception is a son of a fucking bitch. It really fucking is. Why does it irritate me? Well, I don't want to be forced to have to do any of this shit. Here's the part where I'm actually losing myself. Maybe I'm just too heated because it irritates me. Like I said, my grievances have nothing to do if someone's transgendered. Who gives a shit? Now, if you really want to make the argument, yeah, there possibly could be 3 fucking genders. Male, female, hermaphrodite. But I digress. Scientifically, there's 2 genders. There's 2 sexes. And then genetically, some fucking strands of DNA get kind of fucking twisted up. Chromosomes get crossed. All sorts of crazy shit happens. I'm not a scientist. I'm an enthusiast of said science. Also, I'm horrible at fucking biology, so I will admit that the science of genders and all this stuff on a physical level, I don't really know a whole lot about. Menstruation scares the shit out of me. Don't really give a shit about menstruation. I'm perfectly fine with people doing whatever they want. I am perfectly fine if someone wants to be born a man and then transition into a woman. It does not affect me. It does not affect my life. That part I don't care about. What I do care about is our country. The thing about our country is when you look at the grand scheme of things and why when a state takes a huge precedent like this, it's fucking annoying. As a member of a state, now I'm not a member of California anymore because I moved, but as someone that was born and raised in California, it irritates shit out of me that they went super liberal. But hey, they want to be progressive, they can be progressive in their own way. For example, I might lean towards conservative, but I champion the fact that California, for years, tried to get gay marriage to be legal. I am 100% for gay marriage. I always have been for gay marriage. Why am I for gay marriage? Because I just don't give a shit. Take that however you want, but at the end of the day, if a dude wants to marry a dude, if the two of them are fucking happy and of legal consenting age, who gives a fuck? I don't. Go get married. Have fucking fun. The rest of the world's not gonna get fucking destroyed because 2 gay guys want to fucking bump uglies but have a piece of paper say that they're fucking attached to each other for all fucking eternity. I'm fine with it. The transgender stuff I'm fucking fine with until the line comes in. the line gets crossed more and more every day. The list of demands from SJWs, it's not that they want their own things accepted by the rest of the world. They want the rest of the world to accept their point of views. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. It all comes down to this perspective of narrative. They want the rest of the world to not only listen to their perspective, not only like be captivated by the narrative that they create themselves, but they want the rest of the world to adhere to it. They want the rest of the world to think the way that they do. And ultimately, what does all this come down to? Thought crime. For having an opinion, for being of a certain position on a topic, that is what they're leaning towards. They're leaning towards, if you think differently, that is wrong. That's what it's coming down to. It is coming down to, if you think differently than I, if you disagree with me, if you feel different from the things that I want to bring into the world, then you're wrong. Sooner rather than later, this country is going to be fucking taken up, and thought crimes are going to be a fucking thing. You know, it's a very Orwellian thing to have your own perspective. Right now, I have my perspective on the whole transgender thing, but that's just my position. I don't go so far as to feel like I need to impose it on other people. Well, because you don't feel the same way I do, you're going to get in trouble one way or another. That's the road we're leading towards. And it's getting faster and faster and faster. Certain progressive things are fucking fantastic in this country. There are certain ways that we have been pushing forward socially, and it's been great. Other times, we hit a fucking roadblock, and it dances that line. And sooner or later, we're going to get to the point where we're all fucked. There's a lot of people out there that just don't speak up because their voices are quelled by the shouts, the screams of the SJWs. This shit's just fucking irritating to me. At the end of the day, does it fucking matter, really, that California said that, oh, okay, on your license, you can have non-binary as a gender now. That's perfectly fine. No, it doesn't. It doesn't end the world. It really doesn't. It is going to make it harder when trying to ID people. That comes back to perception. If someone's fucking, if you're a full-on dude, for example, and you haven't gone through your transition yet, you haven't taken your transition seriously, or you can't afford to, or whatever reason, but you're a full-on, you look like a dude, like this, but your license, it says female. You get pulled over, that's a fucking long conversation with the police officer. The other side of that argument is, well, they can check and verify that. Right, I guess they can. But still, initially it's going to be seen that that's a fake ID or something. There's a lot of complications that come from shit like this. Ultimately, though, it just opens the fucking door. Sooner or later, it's going to happen again. They're going to form some sort of fucking SJW communities, and they're never happy. You give them an inch, and they're mad that you did not give them a mile. They want more. Every single time. You give them one thing, they don't praise over finally having a small victory. They hunger for more. They hunger for more. Constantly. And I guarantee you, sooner or later, it's going to happen again. Where, oh, now there's 5 genders in the state of California. Male, female, non-binary, what the fuck? I don't even know at this point. I don't really pay a lot of attention to the SJW stuff. I hear about it a lot, do my own research, but there are certain times where it just irritates me so much, where it's like, this is rambling on too long. This is MaceValor. Thank y'all for watching. Just let me know how you feel, because you might disagree with me, but I do want to hear your stance. Provided it's not just screaming and yelling and calling me all these fucking names. In my rage, in my annoyance and irritation, I did my best to give an educated response on how I felt about something. I would love, fucking love, to have the same from you guys. This is MaceValor.